Welcome to Absolutely PlayStation Esteemed Gamers. My name is Benny. That is Dylan. We're going to avoid all confusion today.
Great. Finally, I'm back.
You're back. You're rejoining us. And that is G Fuel on the other camera, which you can use the code COMICS at checkout to get 10% off. So G Fuel, how are you doing today?
Bad now.
Now,
I
seriously,
love G Fuel, but
you want to be known as G Fuel?
I want to be a person, not a powdery drink mix.
You are G Fuel.
All right, all joking aside, I'm Benny, that's Dylan, and that is Houston, and we are going to do our post-E3 wrap-up.
Woo.
Let's kick it off with the start. Overall thoughts. Let's go from there, and we're going to start with the blue-haired wonder, the superhero who can use his hair like Medusa for Marvel, Dylan.
Whoa.
I didn't
would
know
love
that
if I
about
could do
you.
that. Yeah.
You're like, I want a
It's crazy.
drink.
E3 was interesting this year. I feel like ever since I don't know, like people have been doing less and less stage shows with E3, and now this year, like Sony's just not even a part of it. People are like, companies
technically
are
they weren't
less.
yesterday as well. I think last year was the first. Well, not 2020. I'm counting 2019. 2020 stricken for the record. So I think 2019 was the first year they no-showed.
Oh, was it? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I know they weren't. I thought they still had something, but they weren't at the show. Like they weren't on the show floor, but they still did something. I don't remember.
You might be right.
But-
Maybe they did their own off like PlayStation Direct version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they did.
I don't think
remember.
they weren't on stage, and that's kind of what I'm saying is like ever since people stopped being on stage at E3, I feel like E3's kind of lost some of its like allure. But this year especially is at least to me was very much like a underwhelming, but not in a way that I'm disappointed by because it makes sense because of the year that was stricken from the record. So like there wasn't a whole ton this year that like got me off of my seat being like, yeah, finally. Which, there weren't like a whole lot of wow moments this year. It was mostly just like, okay, cool.
I think the
There's some
only one
games
that
coming
actually
out.
got me emotional was Halo. And not that
Really?
Halo existed because we knew about it, but when they revealed the story involving Cortana, I was like, no! We got no.
Was that new? We didn't know that before.
We didn't know that well, at least
Okay.
I didn't. So if
There
they
wasn't a
revealed it-
story before.
Yeah.
The last trailer they
right,
showed
about Halo.
had crappy graphics, and then
Right.
now they're like, yeah, we're gonna put a pin in this game. We'll be back,
we'll be back.
Fair.
So,
which was the right move.
so Houston, who's actually Clark Kent because his glasses are hiding his Superman identity. Oh God, we've been revealed. Houston, what were your thoughts on E3 this year?
It was overall meh, which was expected. Nobody showed anything that wasn't expected.
Were there new reveals at all? I can't
There
think of
were.
anything.
Yeah.
There were
Like
some.
brand new.
Metroid.
Yeah, Metroid Dread,
Metroid.
which is probably the best thing that was shown, in my opinion,
Yeah.
was Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, there wasn't anything I wasn't expecting. There wasn't anything that got me, oh my God. I mean, the best move, in my personal opinion, is Halo multiplayer. Is free to play.
Being free. Yeah.
I'll be
That's
playing
fair.
it. I will be. I'll be because I'm a classic. I mean, I'm a huge fan of classic Halo multiplayer, and I did enjoy Destiny multiplayer until they stopped caring about it. And so, having Halo be free, I'll be all about that. And I'm going to drag Houston and you into it, Dylan. So
I can't afford
Okay.
it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna check it out. I like Halo, so I won't not play a free game.
good. My overall thoughts. A thing came up during this season with Shank, our fourth member of our cast here, who's unavailable today because he's working. He said he feels like this is underwhelming because we don't have the stage show, just like what you said, Dylan. But I countered with, this kind of proves we don't need the stage show. Sony didn't even show. Nintendo hasn't done anything other than a direct for the last 5 years. And the stage is mostly led to just cringe compilations at this point,
Yeah, but that's the best.
Well, and I agree. It gets around the internet a lot better, and maybe that's what they were going for. But, I mean, so watching the Ubisoft thing where they tried to do the funny banter. I remember in particular there was that was a funny segue, but it was all scripted and staged with people who don't know how to even present. It was like we got the guys from Ubisoft. They didn't even get the people that would have been on stage. Like
Sure.
what's that woman's name who's there every year? The one, and
Aisha Tyler.
Yeah, and she's always like, "You all hate me, and I'm back."
She's great. But like that's the thing. Like E3 to me, like in its prime was always like we're gonna see everyone come out on these ridiculous stages. And Xbox is gonna pull a car out, and Nintendo's gonna have an orchestra, and like they didn't Xbox has always like upped the game with their stage shows. Like they had like Cirque du Soleil out one year. The Kinect like presentations were always hilarious. It's
Just
like,
Dance presentations were the best.
Yeah,
Just Dance was always I don't even like Just Dance, and I'm always like, what bullshit is Ubisoft going to pull this year?
They would always do that, and that's
is
like
that a bear?
When you boil it down to like the less, obviously it's a lot less expensive, but it's also like you don't get that that connection to the devs and to the people making that game. Like a specific moment, I think this was from a Sony conference a few years ago when Little Big Planet 3 was unveiled. And they just cut from like 10 minutes of trailers. Finally, they show the stage and it reveals the Little Big Planet 3 logo to an audience losing their mind. And then they cut to the devs who are just like in tears of how like blown away they are at the reaction to everybody like loving Little Big Planet 3. And like, we don't get that stuff anymore.
Yeah. I
don't think we ever will either.
No. And that's the shame of it.
I went to the last Bethesda show. And like everyone likes to say the
I
woo
saw
guy.
you there.
Yeah.
You were on the stream.
I was on the stream. And I was in the woo guy crowd. Remember the infamous woo guy? Woo! He was next to me. And I was definitely joining in. He totally trumped me. Because the microphone was like, they were like, boom my ear. And he's just like, woo! And I'm like, why did you give the mic to us? But like that guy was next to me, and that experience, and then hitting the memes, and then knowing that guy personally, and he was like all excited at first, and then really upset because everyone's mean, and then all excited again. Right. I was like, this is awesome. Like, you know what I mean? But that kind of E3 presentation, people getting excited for the games that they care about, and then half the audience going, oh, who cares about that? I don't care about that. Oh, that's the worst thing ever.
Right.
And then me and Houston going, we're probably going to play that. Shut up, Houston.
Looks terrible. Can't wait.
No, exactly.
I love getting swept up in like, I miss like getting like, the excitement of like, this is a show. Like this is something people are coming to see, and everybody's like showmanship is like the main thing that I think, like last year you get a pass. This year you kind of get a pass. Next year I really hope like Xbox still had a stage. Square Enix, I think, also still had a stage, but like there's no audience, obviously. But hopefully, like next year.
No, they didn't have a stage.
Did they Square not? Enix... two of them had a stage. Maybe
no,
was
Ubisoft.
Ubisoft
Had a like simulated stage. They were just in their offices, but they did like a stage presentation.
Right.
Square Enix had Matt Mercer come over and to be the voiceover guy again.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. But yeah, like I think Sony is probably gone, which is a shame because they have like, especially in recent memory, they've had like some really stellar like showings. Like, I mean, the one that always sticks out in my mind is the one that, right after Xbox One was all like, you can't share games, you can't do any of this stuff, and then Sony comes out and they just like Sean Layden, I think, was the one who delivered like all of those gut-wrenching punches that like, yeah, you can share games, there's no DRM, discs are discs, they make sense, and the crowd was just going insane.
Yeah.
And that's just, those aren't moments that you can have anymore. And I think that's like last year, I mean, Nintendo leaving was the first like sign of this. And now we're
Sony
finally
leaving
like,
after that because like
Sony's it was
doing
Nintendo then
Sony.
Sony. Like Xbox is like the last bastion of like traditional stage shows. So
I mean, I hate to say it, but Xbox, I was watching a thing behind the scenes and Xbox was apparently almost done after the Xbox One reveal. Like Microsoft itself wanted to pull out and shut the whole project down. And it was, who's the guy in charge right now? The one that everyone loved? Phil Spencer?
Phil Spencer?
Yeah. He's the one that saved Xbox, supposedly. I don't know how true that is. I was watching a YouTube doc made by some guy. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
There's probably hints of truth in there.
Yeah. I don't think Xbox could afford to leave, but I also feel like Sony's once again full of themselves. I'm a PlayStation fanboy. I have been on the PlayStation train since the original PlayStation 1 when they built it to spite Nintendo. I remember when I was a kid mowing lawns just to buy that in Tomb Raider, and it wasn't because Lara Croft was sexy. It was because I wanted to play Tomb Raider. Her having triangle boobs is a bonus.
I don't believe you.
But
I know you.
But what I'm getting at is now we're at a day and age where Sony's like, we're not even going to make a presentation. We did it a week before and a week after, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know, and they're anti-crossplay and they're anti-everything else. And I know it's a whole discussion, another point, but I feel like Nintendo pulling out, but at least making the direct, but Sony pulling out and being like, we're not even going to show anything. There will be no Sony presence during.
They don't have
E3.
anything to show is the problem.
Well, they would have if they didn't show it all 2 weeks ago. Like the Horizon, Horizon, whatever it's called.
Forbidden West.
Forbidden West. Why wasn't that entire presentation like, look, Sony's like, look, we don't got much, but here's this. Why was that 2 weeks ago?
I mean, I will say, like, in their defense, if they came out and like their E3 presentation was just Horizon, people would be upset. Like, I remember a few years ago when Nintendo came out and they were like, yeah, all we have is Pokemon. That's it. You're like, oh, okay, cool. And then they just showed like 3 hours of Pokemon on the Nintendo Treehouse.
And Houston was sitting there like, so what's next?
I love Pokemon,
oh man,
but man.
Charmander's back!
Oh, no. Charmander gets released every time.
That's true.
Useless.
But no, I don't know.
Overrated.
It just felt weird to me that they weren't there at all. There wasn't even, like, I watched a lot of
Yeah.
jokes being made that Sony didn't even make a presence. But overall, this was such a lackluster E3. The amount of people I had to say, hey, did you see the thing at E3? E3's going on? Yes!
Yeah.
Yes,
What-
it
Like
is.
I know, like a friend of mine who's a Metroid fan, I was in a Discord call with him, and I was like, so what do you think about Metroid? Or I asked, it was actually Guardians of the Galaxy, because I know he reads comics, and I was like, what do you think about the new Guardians of the Galaxy game? And he was like, what? And I was like, oh, they just announced like a new Guardians of the Galaxy game. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But it's just, yeah, people just, you know, it's one of those years, I guess, which is fair.
It's going to
But-
be weird to get everyone back in a normal cycle, I feel, after 2020. Because now we've
Yeah.
all gotten into this, like, it's the gig economy, the hustle economy, the stay at your house and never leave your house economy, the everyone doesn't want to deal with people. We have contactless delivery economy. Like, we're in a world where people just don't have schedules anymore. And something
Right.
like E3 being like, we're summer, we're back, here it is. And everyone's like, whatever, I'll see it later. Like, I'll watch
Yeah.
the trailers on YouTube.
This year is for sure like the weird like in between like last year it was canceled, like nobody did like much of anything, and then
Yeah.
this year is like the we're kind of back, but you know, show up next year and then we'll really be back because you could probably like come and be in the audience next year,
Yeah.
hopefully.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, since we've decided not to live react to E3 as a channel, because we're too small to really bother with that right now, that gave us the privilege of watching stuff afterwards. Ubisoft, I waited until the conference was done, like their presentation, so I could skip all the in-between stuff and just watch the trailers
That's fair.
and watch
I mean,
the gameplay.
I did that with the PC gaming showcase and the future games showcase. I just found someone who cut all the trailers out of it and just
We
put
didn't.
them
We
on
didn't.
YouTube.
Okay, we didn't make a video on it, but can we just comment real
No.
quick? No, we're not. Okay.
No, I was saying we didn't make a video on it
Why?
because it's rough.
Why did Day 9 and whoever those other two people were make an entire spaceship skit? Look, I get it. You guys have done it every year, but you just gotta let it go. Because it was so awkward. Because
commit
like
either.
Day 9's like, I'm in my spaceship, what's going on? And then they cut to him on a stage. Hey
Right.
guys, now I'm gonna like what? No, you can't do both, man.
No.
Just pick one. Like
Bizarre.
either do the cringy green screen mech warrior thing or do the stage presentation.
That wasn't green screen. He was in a mech. I'm almost positive it was a real mech.
Like, I feel
built
like they're
one.
trying to do the digital devolver thing where it literally devolves into madness over the course of the presentation. But, like, someone went to Day 9 and was like, yours isn't as good as theirs, so, like, can we do some stage stuff? And he's like, what if we do both? I found it so weird and awkward. I was just like, what's going on here? Like,
Yeah.
something got in the way of your ideas. I don't...
Yeah, the honestly, like the PC gaming show has always had that like specific brand of weird to it. Like the jokes never land, and
Yeah.
like there's always so much dead air for no reason. For some reason, it resonates with PC to me because it's like you're doing a show for like computers, Like,
Yeah.
like that's not like a company who's making games. It's just kind of this weird abstract. Like we have some things to show, and it's not thematically consistent at all. Which is like, you know, you either get the PC when you go that route, you get the PC gaming show, or you get the Summer Game Fest. One of which is far superior to the other.
So, all right. So let's move on to what our game of the show was. Houston, why don't you go first with this one? What was? You can name a few you liked, but what was the big one? You're like, if I have to pick one game I want, what is it?
Metroid Dread. I mean, Nintendo's where I play most of my games anyway.
No, your tablet is, but
well, whatever. There's no. Where's my mobile games at E3? Come on.
You know what?
Where's
I
the
would watch
mobile
that.
gaming showcase?
I would watch
2021.
that.
Mobile gaming is taking over. Anyway, probably Metroid Dread looked the most fun. Second would be Forza Horizon 5 because it is beautiful.
That one made me download Horizon
Fair.
4 and then
It
yell
is-
at Houston to download it.
It is beautiful. We won't play it before November again.
I'm already playing it. You haven't
you
gotten on
are.
it.
I had to beat 7. I don't want to hear it. Anyway.
I have 2 cars now.
So Metroid Dread, Forza Horizon, and then I have to mention it because I am a Zelda fanboy. I did like a little bit of the new trailer for Breath of the Wild 2, which apparently does have a name, but they don't want to release it because it's a spoiler.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What can you possibly put into the name to spoil the game to the extreme that you don't want to reveal it?
The Legend of Zelda: Link dies.
But like, all right, so is the game gonna come out and be like, "Let Breath of the Wild 2"? Subtitled name, but we don't want to tell you what it is because it spoils the ending. Then why
Yeah.
is it the name?
No, I think they don't want to spoil what's going on with it just yet.
Yeah, I imagine it's gonna have something to do with Ganon, because the first trailer, like the reveal trailer, had like goofy
Dehydrated Ganon.
Yeah, exactly. And so I imagine it's gonna have something to do with like, this is the big change in this game, like Ganondorf's return or something like that they're not ready to show us just yet.
Breath of the Wild 2. Link's got a weird arm.
Link's arm is all goofy, and also he removed his hair tie.
Hair flowing in the wind.
Yeah, Houston, we're gonna have to do a full video discussing the intricate levels of the trailer. So whatever.
I'm not all about that.
We're doing beat for beat, man. We're doing
All
beat
right.
for beat.
All right, right after this. But mostly, yeah, it was. I would say that. I can't really think of anything else. I was like, oh my god, I need this now.
That's fair. Yeah, that's kind of the mood of this E3.
Yeah.
A lot of like
Everything
cool.
else was expected.
Right.
I had a lot of like, why would they even want this game? Like, make a new engine. Insert company here.
Starfield? Are we talking about Starfield? Look like Fallout 4?
Yeah, we are.
no.
What blew my mind about the Starfield reveal, just real quick on that one. They're finally revealing the first graphics to Starfield, and I'm looking at it like, that looks like Fallout 4. I'm waiting for someone to tell me the outpost is under attack. Like, like why?
Station 4 is under attack.
Why wouldn't they just render it if they're like, if the face was rendered, and then they just went with the normal graphics of the rest of it? Like, it was so jarringly weird. I'm not gonna be interested at all.
I said it when we talked about on the Xbox One. It's not coming out November 11th next year.
Oh hell no, no. Dylan, what did you think about? What was your game of the show?
See, it's tough for me because I feel like I really put a lot of weight into like, you know, the big like reveals and excitement about E3, and I think Metroid Dread did kind of hit like that E3 like feel where it's a game that wasn't super expected and is coming out soon, which is like, you know, that's nuts.
It's out in October. It's not like,
Right.
all right, this is also in 2022,
point-
like 99% of the rest of the game shown.
Yeah. So like that's one thing, but also I think the one thing that probably made me like, and unfortunately I didn't get to see it live because I was not even tracking the Summer Game Fest, but Elden Ring. Like that when I clicked on Twitter opening it for the day and went to the trending and saw Elden Ring was trending, I was like, what? I ran to my computer and watched the trailer for it. And like that's a game that I've been waiting for a long time. And after a lot of the interviews that Miyazaki has done, like coming out after, that show, I probably Elden Ring is probably the one that I'm most excited for. There's a lot of hype surrounding it. It wasn't like a huge surprise, I guess, because there were a lot of rumors that it was going to be at the Summer Game Fest that I didn't learn about until after the fact. But that was a thing, apparently. I don't follow the rumor mill super closely.
Because normally it's, I followed a little bit more than you probably, and Elden Ring has been rumored to be at every game show.
Right. I think this is the one that I was like, because I figured it was going to be at E3 at some point. But this was the one show that I just didn't hear rumors about specifics about it. But it makes sense that Jeff Keighley would get to show it. Which like with every showing he does, I gain more respect for that man. He's so like candid and very upfront about everything and clearly loves what he's doing. So like good on him. It's crazy that he got to do that reveal. If I had to put money on it, I was betting that Xbox was going to get that reveal. But yeah, probably Elden Ring is my game of E3 this year.
All right. For me, there was two that stood out, and that was I really got into the Halo reveal, but I wouldn't give it Game of the Year because other than the story reveal, nothing was new. And I'm also still a little hesitant since it is another 343 Halo game, which they're not terrible, but they haven't been the greatest since they've come out. You know what I mean? Like no one ranks them above the 1, 2, and 3 trilogy. The other game that really kind of got me amped up and I was interested in was actually Mario Party. They revealed that we're going to get traditional online Mario Party.
Yeah. Which, like, that confused me when they said it in the trailer. Like, you can play online with anyone. And I was like, why is that a selling point? And then I realized that
in the last one.
Yeah, like, Mario Party has been, like, kind of in a weird state.
Right, they keep trying to come up with weird ideas for it. Now the amiibos are your dice. Okay, and this one has no boards. Like, what? So I was a little excited about seeing just classic Mario Party making a comeback. Mm-hmm. But the one that really took it for me, and I know everyone's already said it, but Metroid Dread. It was the only one I wasn't expecting in any way, shape, or form. I was expecting some more Breath of the Wild when we got the minute trailer. I was expecting some more Halo reveal. I was expecting the usual announcement of a Forza, because they always do it. This is the big reveal location. Square Enix didn't really show off anything, although I do want to say I found it hilarious that my theories that Life is Strange 2 is being forgotten were confirmed by the Nintendo show when they're like, look, it's the cast from the first game and the cast from True Colors. No, it's not 3. There's no 2. We didn't number these.
That's why it's called True Colors now, Benny.
I was just like, okay, that's funny. So, but yeah, Metroid Dread definitely took it for me. I'd say the worst of the show, because I didn't even think about this, but we'll go back around and see what your guys' worst showing of the show. Who was Capcom?
Bandai Namco.
Well, Bandai Namco, I don't think should have even been called a show because it was just one reveal.
It's like, here's our next thing in our Dark Project series. Now we're going to talk about it for 30 minutes. Oh, you wanted other games? Oh, we don't have those.
That one, and I think Capcom are racing to see who was the worst of the show. Because Capcom was like, here's Monster Hunter DLC. Here's the paid stuff. and you and I agreed, the worst trailer ever. They're like, Ace Attorney's being translated. We're like, all right, cool, this is an audience for that. Here's gameplay.
There's no music, nothing. Just, I'm supposed to read this? Sorry, my bad, I didn't know.
Why? You don't do gameplay trailers for Ace Ventura. Ace Attorney. That was literally in the trailer. You showed the gameplay. It doesn't go beyond this.
No, they had to show the new modes of the gameplay. You know, where there's a thing you can see how you're doing in the background now.
I was like,
because that sells the game for me.
And then Capcom spent 15 minutes. And I've made jokes about this, and I mean I know people love the terminology, and it's just slang, and I'm old, and that's why I'm making fun of it. But the whole yo boy. Like, every time someone gets on the TV, like, we're watching it, the guy, hey, yo, it's your boy, random esports encounter guy. And I'm like, Houston, it's my boy, the esports guy. I'm just like, What? Why is your boy opening slogan for like half of YouTube right now and every esports person?
From now on, every short I start, I'm gonna be like, "Welcome, it's your boy Houston, back with the Pokemon news."
Nice.
I don't get it. I don't. But it's like 15 minutes with them being like, so we got Street Fighter 5. It's coming over here and here and here, and this guy's doing good and that guy's doing good. I'm like, what an interesting decision to put into your E3 presentation.
They really need to stop with Street Fighter 5.
What? Oh, go to 6?
6 already.
Go to 6? Yeah, I agree with that. I want a 6. So I don't know which one was worse. Like at least Namco Bandai was like, here's the game, we're done. Oops, we should have showed more. Capcom was like, whatever we have, anything. Put it into that. We need an hour. Sir, we have only Ace Attorney. Give it 15 minutes. And do 15 on the esports. And we're going to do 15 on the esport girl. And we're going to do 15 on Resident Evil DLC and paid stuff for Monster Hunter.
No, Resident Evil was like 3 minutes, maybe.
No,
They're
they showed that multiplayer. They were like,
Well,
check
yeah.
out the game that no one's going to play.
For like 3 minutes, and then they're like, "Hey, we heard you. We saw that you liked your game because you bought it. We're releasing DLC now." I call bull.
Yeah,
It was being released either way.
I feel the same way. But yeah, what did you guys think was the worst of the show?
I don't think I have an opinion on the worst. It was so like it was just like neutral to good. There wasn't really anything that, like, if I wasn't interested in something, it moved on pretty quickly. That, like, there wasn't really like a whole
You didn't pay attention
section.
to it.
Yeah, like, you know, like Xbox didn't come out and talk about a car for 30 minutes. Like,
No.
like they
But
showed
they
the
did
car
talk
game,
about a mini fridge
but-
that I want.
Yeah, but that was like after as well. That was the post show. But like if they threw that in there, that would have been funny. But like it's, you know, there just wasn't a whole lot that made me be like, ugh, move on. You know,
I would say Xbox was the best and worst, in my opinion, because they showed a lot of stuff, but nothing is coming out this year except for like 4 games.
that's
You know,
fair.
I want to do an
And
honorable
I'm
mention.
still not convinced Halo's coming out this year because
I
they said
don't-
holiday 2021.
Yeah. I want to do an honorable mention. I forgot. I mean, I'm excited about this one. Rainbow Six Extermination. Or Outbreak. Extraction. They
Extraction.
renamed it like 4 times. I don't know.
It was Quarantine and now it's Extraction.
Yeah, there was like a dozen names in the middle though that they trademarked that everyone was like, "That's the new name. That's the new name." That looks like a lot of fun. A co-op, go in. They described it would look like a roguelike to me. I thought that looked like a lot of fun. And they're using the established cast. It's exactly what I said was going to happen when Overwatch 2 said we're doing a story mode with our cast of characters that we have built up. Watch all the other hero shooters do the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Why wouldn't they?
They've got like this cast of 40 people that they could throw into stories all
They're
over the place.
ready to go. There's
Yeah.
no development time in making those characters work.
Nope. So that was my honorable mention. All right. Looking at this show, Game Pass is finally in a spot where I'm actually excited to use it. I know it's gotten there over the last year or two, but since Xbox didn't have any core exclusives that were going to Game Pass, it was always in the market of like, do I want to go on Game Pass and play the same game I can play with my friends on PlayStation or PC, or do I actually want to get an Xbox to use the Game Pass? Well, how do you guys feel about Game Pass in its current state? Do you feel it's finally getting to where you're interested? Or do you still think, nah, I'm buying all my games. Screw that.
I don't know. Every time I hear about it and I hear of a game that's on it that I want to play, I consider grabbing it. But I don't know. It's I just don't like buy enough new games that I feel like it would be worth it for me. But I think it is like a really good value for someone who does just like want to hop in and play a bunch of backlog or something. Similar to like PlayStation Plus when they introduced like their sort of version of Game Pass where you can play like 30 of like the PS4's really good games.
Most of which I already played, but yes, I agree.
Yeah, but I'm saying like for people who are just now getting into it, or like they have a PS4 or they somehow got a PS5 and they just want to play a bunch of games for not much, like spending literally $5 to have access to like a buttload of like really good games from the previous generation is super good, and I think that model, like that Game Pass kind of pioneered, is the way of the future that like you've talked about a little bit, Benny. I don't know how developers are going to quantify like being able to survive when people are paying so little for their games. But you know, that's
microtransactions. They're going to do more and more costumes.
Yeah, but like it's, you know, it's something that the movie and TV industry has been dealing with for ever since Netflix became a thing. So
yeah, I mean, it's the future of entertainment at this point. I mean, so I don't know if I agree with it, but just having a subscription to everything, and you can play it all.
The best part of it to me is like lean into backlog. Like and I know like a big thing that they're talking about now is like you can get new games day one on Game Pass, which is great. But for me, the idea that I can just pay $15 a month and have access to like every game in Xbox or whatever, or all of their partners' backlog is great to me. Like, and I see a future that will never happen of Nintendo having this. And being able to pay like $15 a month to a Nintendo Plus or whatever, and then I can go back and play like every Nintendo first party game on my Switch or the new Switch or whatever. Like, that sounds great. I don't know if there's any other specific developer that I would want to have that, but like, you know, Xbox, especially with Game Pass being on PC, like they're a great, with the amount of people that they have like signed on for Game Pass, like you could make a really solid argument for wanting something like that for them. And I know there are a lot of games on there already.
There is one thing. The backlog isn't as backloggy as you might think.
Right.
There's a lot of games there. They remove them all the time.
Oh, really?
They give you a FOMO effect. Like, be with Game Pass now to play this game now.
I guarantee you're like, I can play it day one, 4 months down the road. They're going to be like, all right, we're removing it from Game Pass for now. If you want it, you can get it for 20% off.
Yeah, they give you discounts at Game Pass. If they don't have it on Game Pass, you get 20% off at the moment.
So I've never used it. So like Rainbow Six comes out and I have it with Game Pass.
Yep.
And then like 3 months pass and they take it off. Do I have to then pay a separate fee to continue playing Rainbow Six, or am I still good?
You would have to buy Rainbow Six.
Yeah,
that sucks.
It's no longer
if they take it off
of
the Game Pass, you now have to buy it.
Yeah, that sucks. Don't like that.
It's got its kinks. I do feel like it's going to be the future. I also, to go into your backlog idea, because there are some backlog titles, just like PlayStation Now has backlog titles, and like that's a big thing. One thing I think a lot of us don't remember, like my constant thing with the PlayStation one is I've already played all these games, but every day someone gets old enough and jumps into the video game hobby. Mm-hmm. Like our entire main channel, Comic Storian, focuses on bringing entertainment to kids and people who can't get comic books. That's the point of it. So the same thing applies to video games. You know, like we'll have some 15-year-old kid that, you know, he just turned 18, finally has some money, and he wants to get into video games, and the only thing he's played has been the 3 games his parents bought him, so now he wants to get into the hobby. So he goes in through the backlog and stuff like that. So the backlog is very viable for a lot of people. Like, just not everyone's in our boat where it's like, the game came out, I gotta play now!
Yeah. I know people are giving Sony crap right now because they don't have a true Game Pass, but they're giving 30 games with PlayStation Plus.
Yeah. Right.
And PlayStation Now is the closest they have. It's just the games are really old.
Yeah.
That's the only problem.
And it's like, PS Now is also weird because it's a streaming service. It's not, like, it's got those kinks as well, and people don't, like, fully understand that. Like, I looked into getting PlayStation Now when I wanted to play the original God of War games, and it was the most, like, cost-effective way to do that. But I just ended up not doing it because it was, like, there were weird, like, streaming things. I didn't want to deal with, like, the compression, and I probably would have had a fine time, but you know, those same people who you talk about are like people who can't get access to comics, or you know, people who want to play through more backloggy games, just have like a lower end PC, buy a Game Pass and go through them. You know, might not have like super great access to good internet, so there's a whole load of like weird complex things going on with like subscription models to play games, that I think, like you said, like there are kinks with all of it, and they need.
And for
to
the
be
record, PlayStation
worked out.
Now lets you download some of the games.
Some of them?
Yeah,
Okay.
actually has for some of them. There's just no way to know if the game you want is on that downloadable version.
Until you pay.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, so wrapping up today, we'll talk more about the Xbox thing probably in a separate discussion, just kind of go deep into the whole business model. Overall, do you think E3 should be back next year, or do you think we should just move into the era of companies doing their own shows a la Nintendo and PlayStation at this point?
If I had my way, Jeff Keighley would just make the Summer Game Fest 2 hours longer and bring all of the companies that would have had their own stage show into it, and he just does it.
It's funny because I actually really don't like Jeff Keighley.
That's fine, but like, I mean, think of it like if you don't like him,
I don't like him. I like the way he puts together his shows. I will say
yeah,
that.
he like the Game Awards and now the Summer Game Fest. He is clearly a man who has connections and can put on a show.
Yeah.
And clearly likes what he's doing. Like that. I used to not like Jeff Keighley that much either, but like he's proven to me that he knows what he's doing now. And like I just feel like he'd be the person who could organize an event that would just become E3, as opposed to everyone has their own separate showing that you got to figure out schedules for, and it might be lackluster because they don't have much to show this year. But like, imagine all of them do the same thing, and we get just the best of every company in one like 2-hour show. And that's all we get. And then they show like the rest of their deep dives like a month later or something.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to see E3 turn into.
Hewitt?
Personally, for me, I don't care either way. Most of the time I don't watch it live. I did this year, obviously, for reasons here to do all this stuff. But I'm more of the guy who just wants the announcements. I don't want this big show. I don't want to watch the Just Dance people come in and do a 15-minute segment of different songs they're dancing to for their new game.
I think the best year for E3, going with what you said, was one of the last years Sony was there where they just showed up and just said, we're just going to show video games for the next 30 minutes.
Yes.
And it was all it was. Like,
it was great.
Trailer after trailer. And if somebody did come out, they'd be like, hope you enjoyed those. Here's next year's stuff. Trailer.
Like I said, Xbox was the best and worst for me for one reason. It was like, here's a game. Here's the next game. Here's the next game. Here's the next game. The only reason I was a little disappointed was they showed, like I said, only a couple games coming out this year.
Right.
But other than that, that's exactly what I want is, all right, here's our first game. Here's our next game. All right, we're going to talk for a minute. All right, here's the next game.
The only time I ever want them talking is just explaining for an extra minute what I saw in the trailer. That's all I ever want. Okay, so we made a trailer that was kind of confusing. Let's talk about that for a moment. You know, like... Like, I was trying to get Houston and Andy to download the free game Operation Tango on PlayStation Network, which apparently is like a fun co-op thing. One guy's the spy, one guy's the computer person. You know what? I'll just kidnap you and do it, Dylan. Problem solved. But either way, I could not find a trailer that showed off supposedly what this game is like. Well, they're both like, that looks like ass. I don't want to play that. I'm like, no, the concept sounds great. It does. So... All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed our post-E3 talk. This has been absolutely PlayStation Steam Gamers. Next week, we should be back to normal with lore, shorts, and our usual podcast episodes. It's been a lot of fun. We might do a couple bonus things like the Breath of the Wild trailer discussion and, you know, maybe go a little more deep dive into some of that stuff. But overall, this is kind of concluding the general E3 coverage here at PSG. Maybe if we can get enough traction, next year we'll watch it all live and live react with you guys. It'll be a lot of fun. But thank you so much for watching it this week. A lot of you guys have stuck around and watched every one of the videos, and I super appreciate that. You guys have been awesome, but we'll see you next time right here at PlayStation and Steam Gamers.